Good evening. Good evening. I want to appeal to everyone to listen carefully. I know Zambia is bombarded with a lot of prophets. Every prophet in the world or in Africa, they are talking about Zambia. Why Zambia? It's because the devil is fighting my ministry. Why I want to say so? The first prophecy I made on Zambian soil, it was 1990, 2nd February, concerning Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's loss of power. No prophet ever talked about the Dr. Kaunda losing power to Chiluba. But me, I mentioned Chiluba before Chiluba was actually MMD president. A year before Chiluba became president. And a year before Chiluba won the election, I'd already named him. So if we look and listen carefully on the prophecies that all these prophets are saying, I wish I had all the time to edit. I was going to put each and every prophet a clip of what they are going to speak. I think I'll do that in a few days' time. I'll just need to pick each prophet, what did he say on the elections, so that I can just educate the people to understand and distinguish prophecy. Because prophecy is not a one statement analysis of political influence on the candidates, and you say he's going to win the election, Hakainde is going to win the election, or Brian Mundubile is going to win the election, without giving the reasons and the challenges that the person would go. When you look at what I mentioned, I want to listen this video. I played this video on the a longer one on the video I did yesterday, but I still want to pick certain statements that are so cardinal in this prophecy. One, I mentioned of Chiluba, I mentioned of Mundubile winning the elections, and I asked, why is Mundubile winning? For what reason? And I said, if Mundubile could not avail himself for anointment, and I know that if Mundubile is supported by Vatican, he's not going to do what? To ask for prayers. And I've mentioned that if Mundubile goes the same route as Michael Sata, I warned Michael Sata. Michael Sata was faced with an assassination attempt on his life. And when you look at that point, it has been successfully met against who? Mundubile. I'll show a video later where he was interviewed. What is it that I actually mentioned? I further mentioned to say, if he goes to State House without seeking prayer, it means he's going to get the same route of Michael Sata, of being assassinated. Secondly, or thirdly, or fourthly, because there are a lot of statements that have issued, all of them that have come to pass. Because of Mundubile's rejection, I said, indeed, Mundubile is going to win, but there is a blockage. Get that way, there's a blockage of rigging the elections. So blockage of rigging the elections. I know the government has all resources to paint the election to be not to not to appear to be rigged. Wellest, there's too much evidence that shows that the elections were rigged. But my main point today is that when you refuse warning, you meet consequences. Consequences. 1, of losing the elections. 2, of an attempt on your life, assassination attempt, and people dying. So Mundubile is actually in a frying pan because he refused prayer. Mundubile today and Emmanuel Mwamba, they are actually faced with criminal charges. I'll proceed. Maybe tomorrow I'll show a video of a Zambian who is alleging, saying, Mundubile and Emmanuel Mwamba, they have been attached to someone who is a fraud king of Zimbabwe, meaning that they are involved in fraud crime. So now, why did Mundubile refuse prayer? Listen to this video. I bed. Then I said, you have won. Your team has won to the campaign manager of Mundubile Lilian. That gave me an insight that Mundubile will win elections. But to what? For what? Then the second vision that I saw, Mundubile cleaning the dish of mud. He found me cleaning, then he helped me to clean. And that is my call. When I'm calling Mundubile for prayers, I'm saying he must clean the mess that God gave me to reveal unto him. But now, by refusing to come for prayers, then I'm simply saying, in a manner that Sata refused, and Sata went without seeking the prayers that I told him, Sata died like a fool. There was an assassination attempt on his life. Immediately when I stopped praying for him, then it broke my heart. So I'm seeing Brian Mundubile heading the same direction, where the winning without God's hand is the same thing. Of course, there's another blockage of the rigging of election. That's why I'm simply saying, when I saw Kabesha being chosen in a private election by UPND, yeah, it's after 1 o'clock now. I'm feeling sleep. But anyway, I just want to share with you that yes, you have heard the video where I repeatedly mentioned Mundubile needed prayers, Mundubile needed to be anointed, Mundubile, why would he win the elections? If he is in the agenda of the Vatican, that means the difference with Hakainde Hichilema is the same. Then, as I alluded to in reference to the rigged elections. So now, the violence that I saw in the selection of Kabesha Muliro. What is the Kabesha Muliro? Is the Attorney General Attorney General is more of a defense for the government, a senior lawyer to the government, a man of law. So his election was to be positioned in a position that they will use a law against anyone that challenges Hakainde Hichilema. Today, I find Makebi Zulu and Hakainde Hichilema accused, and the Brian Mundubile accused of harboring people that are criminals, not criminals, but that were staged to take a coup d'etat against Hakainde Hichilema. It has been published on the newspaper. I will attach the picture of that newspaper. I will also include the video where Mundubile is defending himself. So why did Mundubile refuse prayer? And even now, I was still saying Mundubile can pray with me. I sent that message to Makebi Zulu, an SMS on WhatsApp. Makebi Zulu read the WhatsApp, he did not come back to me. I don't know whether they have agreed that they must not come back to me, or they went to a Nganga or a Sangoma, or they are level of Freemasonry. They know that they cannot seek prayers from me because they know that their journey is not different from Hakainde Hichilema. Many other people speak about going to State House to change the lives of the people, but they are going there for their own benefit. Listen to the complaint when Mundubile is being questioned by a journalist.
Very clear on record. There was no presence of any militia at my home. The Secretary to Cabinet also said that you were at the same location and where these people were arrested, but it isn't really clear. There isn't a clear indication of whether or not you were also arrested and charged. Were you arrested and charged? I had been picked and later released. I was not charged at all. Upon arrival at our residence, they began to shoot. They shot to the guardhouse. They knocked the gate down using an armored vehicle. They broke down the doors, broke the windows, and gained access. I was in the same room with Honorable Mutotogafwaya when 3 soldiers broke in and immediately opened fire at Honorable Mutotogafwaya. He later directed that gun towards me and fired 2 shots. Later, he fired at the wardrobe where my wife was. And that evidence is there. We can literally go to visit the site and see exactly what I'm talking about. You said that your friends, your colleagues, were killed in that raid. I'd like to know how you confirm this. Well, his whereabouts are still unknown. I believe that I insisted to them, I pleaded with them to take him to the hospital because he had been bleeding and we were being dragged like animals out of that house. The government says that they found weapons, high-grade weapons is what they're calling, and that's how they've described what they found. Were any of you in possession of any weapon of any kind, whether high-grade or not? We were not armed at all. Honorable Mutotogafwaya was not armed. My wife was not armed. I was not armed. If at all they found any gun or weapon on the security personnel, it would be the usual civilian weapons. That's all. There will be no dangerous weapon that they can display to the world to confirm that they found dangerous weapons.
Yes, if you listen carefully to Mundubile, one thing that comes out clearly is that the people that were wounded when the army or the commandos visited Mundubile the government of Zambia was refusing responsibility of anything, responsibility of kidnapping Mundubile, responsibility of anyone who was shot there. But later on, is it Honorable Kapaya, who was confirmed to be dead during the shootings that were happening, and the confirmation of guns and the one pistol that had been confiscated from Mundubile's team, and the allegation leveled against Mundubile, which you've heard yourselves. And to me, as a layman, I realized that what I told Mundubile to say, the route is not safe. You cannot fight Freemasonry with the prayers from your prophets who are not God-fearing, who simply proclaim God on their lips, but they are not defending the Sabbath of God, the lunar Sabbath of God, that is determined by the sun, moon, and stars. The weekly cycle that begins with a crescent moon places the Sabbath on the quarter moon, places the Sabbath on the full moon, places the Sabbath on the third quarter moon, places the Sabbath on the last crescent moon. All these Sabbaths are 7 days, 7 days. So now, if we refuse to listen to God's law, and we refuse to implement family marriages, where is our protection? How are we going to establish God's covenant, church, and altar? So, as we have heard Mundubile, I actually said I saw violence, I saw terror everywhere in the administration of Hakainde Hichilema. As usual, when I dream, I speak of God's visions and warning, but I also wait to see its fulfillment. As it unfolds, I also get to know the full details. But when you look at the first clip of the video that I cut and placed here, you are able to tell, to say, there is nothing that I missed. I said Hakainde is going to lose the elections, despite the fact that Mundubile is winning the elections. But if by any given chance he goes without prayers, he will face an assassination. He has gone for elections. He has lost the elections, but within the loss of elections, which I warned to say his winning will be first, there's a blockage of rigging, meaning that he has won the election. There was a possibility for him to go, but because he refused to get prayers, then blockage comes in, rigging. When the army came in to stop the counting of the votes, and scattered in all polling stations, removing those who are counting, that was proper rigging. Nothing apart from proper rigging. Everything was changed. So even if one would claim and climb the mountain and say that the elections were not rigged, me, I'll say I saw rigging before the elections. When you look at this video, the one that I played in the beginning, it was on 7th July. 7th July to 13th August. Almost 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks and some days. 3 weeks and some days. Almost a month before the elections. I talked about rigging. And everyone is talking about rigging. All the prophets that were for Mundubile, they are talking about rigging after they have seen rigging, not before. Me, I talked about before. Mundubile today is complaining about assassination. I talked about it a month before. So in anything that Mundubile or all the newspapers in the world they are talking about, it is something that I talked about before the elections. So when you are talking about news, to me it's not news. It's something that has to prove to the world that God spoke to me. And what I may say is the surrounding of all the prophets prophesying about the elections in Zambia, they are still talking, they are still giving a lot of, because when they hear what I speak, others they say Hakainde Hichilema, there will be prosperity, where I've already said that Hakainde Hichilema, even if we give Hakainde Hichilema 50 years to rule, or let's say Siawan says he has to step down in 2090, fine. But as long as Hakainde Hichilema is in partnership with Vatican, in partnership with EU, in partnership with the IMF, in partnership with World Bank, in partnership with America, in partnership with France, there's nothing that Hakainde Hichilema would do. The only thing that Hakainde Hichilema is doing at the moment is to keep on fighting this prophecy that I told you. PF must be restored. Patriotic Front restoration. I said, if you wanted God to give him, this is one of the volume. This is the 6th volume. Okay. Here, the 6th volume that I wrote among the 12 volumes that I wrote to him, give him the roadmap of God's plan in his leadership. But he has rejected it. And when I talked about Hakainde Hichilema having second chance, I actually meant to say, if Hakainde Hichilema, upon rigging the elections, he must do what God said, like what Jacob did. Jacob rigged the blessing of his brother Esau. He rigged them. He stole. That's what rigging is. He stole the blessings. And when he ran away, on his way, he listened to God. And God answered his prayer. He says, when I go where I go, if I'm going to find food, I'm going to find clothing, I'm going to pay the 10th. And he found those things. And God gave him wealth. And he blessed God with that by building him a church. Protection of God's ministry, which I repeatedly talked about to Hakainde Hichilema. Anyone that would need God to answer his prayer, he must protect God's ministry. He must know what is the purpose. Africa must be brought back to its full independence. I want to tell you to say the original man on earth is a black man. The white people have stolen our position, made us slaves, made us erasing all our history. The true land of Canaan is in Africa. The true Israel is a black person. That's why you find that the Israel that is there, it's always using guns in order to defend its Israelite name. The spiritual Israel today, which is scattered in all nations, it's Africa. A black person. So I want to appeal to Hakainde Hichilema to seek God. He has rigged the election. These 5 years must not be of terror everywhere. The spirit of working for the West to divide people by accusing them using cyber law. Someone even told me to say we are fearing even to write a WhatsApp SMS because they'll come and pick me. And this shows the mark of the beast is in leadership. I'm also appealing to Mundubile, even if he's faced with these court issues, seek God, you shall pass through thin and thick, and it will give you a second chance against your enemies. But if you may also want to go without this prayer, I'm simply pleading to say, don't die in the process. I understand your party has been withdrawn from you, and the founder member of the party has been appointed by Hakainde Hichilema. It's a sad news about it. It's the highest betrayal that you have suffered. And with that kind of betrayal, it tells you the future is not on your side if you don't call upon God. Deuteronomy 28 says, your enemies may come one way, but if you keep God's commandment, you make a covenant with him, you keep his laws, they'll scatter 7 ways. Hakainde Hichilema is not used for no reason. Is used in order to remove every African leader who want to fight genuinely for independence. And we can only win this battle if we go like David. David had to take 5 smooth stones. The first stone is J, the second stone is E, the third stone is S, the fourth stone is U, the fifth stone is S, Jesus. Again, the stone faith, F, I, A, T, H, faith. So, is it F-A-I-T-H? You can correct it. These 5 smooth stones, they stand for the name of Jesus Christ and the name or the answer to our salvation, faith. With faith, you can stand no matter how much they can bruise you, no matter how much these allegations against you, they may not stand, because it is government coupled with the European Union. I understand you are being protected by UN. UN is a double standard. They put poison there, then they come and try to show you love, so that you should not know that the poison is coming from them. Because without war, without differences, UN cannot exist. So they play double standard. You are not protected by UN. You must seek God's protection. If you are going to be surrendered, you rot in jail. The 5 years you'll be in jail. You'll be charged for treason because of claims that you wanted to, you claimed that you have won the elections. So something has to be done. Seek God before it is too late, so that everything that has been planned against you can be exposed. It's my prayer for Zambia and the leadership of Hakainde Hichilema also to consult God, to seek God. These politics are there to divide us. They are there to make us to be enemies. We are brothers. We must love each other. And there's no need of having elections every 5 years. It's a European system of creating divisions every 5 years. All what we need one president in Africa who can be removed after death, so that we concentrate on running our mines, we concentrate on running our farming, we concentrate on running our businesses without running for president. What is it for that we need? All what we need is one economy, one standard bank, one currency, one army in Africa. But all these things are happening because the white people in South Africa, they are busy planting xenophobia against their own African people, Afrophobia. In Zambia, they are busy planting political enemies among the opposition party. In Nigeria, they are using religion as the means of division. So I want to say my appeal is that every meaningful solution for Zambia, it must be Hakainde Hichilema must stop being an engine of persecuting his brothers by false allegation. The country is quiet, not that there is peace. They are fearing. Mundubile must seek God's agenda. Then all shall be well. May God bless you.